Hey, if you had an accident tomorrow, though, seriously, would you know where to bring your car? You're going to go to V&J Auto Body. V&J Auto Body has been repairing cars for 40 years. It's a small family-owned business. They are a proud sponsor of ours. They've been with us since the beginning. Folks, I can't say enough about V&J Auto Body. State-of-the-art facility. They are one of the most certified shops in Suffolk County. They have the technology, the business processes, the equipment, and most importantly, the personnel to repair your car and make sure that it's put back to pre-loss condition. For your convenience, they now have two amazing locations, one in Southampton and, of course, the original location in Lindenhurst, New York. All right, so go to VandJAutobody.com, and they can be reached at 631-226-0070. Remember, V&J Auto Body is looking out for your interests, not the interests of the insurance guys. Well, good afternoon, everyone out there. This is Peter Crouch coming at you with the one and only original Crash Course. Welcome, one and all. Been at this for quite a while now, and I think we're still growing, which is cool. I think the YouTube channel was hanging in there. I know we were busting at the seams on that. At any rate, welcome everybody. Hey, if you're just stopping by, I know everybody does the scrolling thing today, right? I do it too. I'm up to 1 o'clock in the morning, especially when you go down that wormhole and you just start, that thing just starts. You start going down in that thing, boy. It's amazing where you end up. I don't know. Some of the videos that pop up on there when you're in deep into the wormhole are a little scary, to say the least. And I don't know. Some of the stuff gets pretty sketchy too. I don't know about everybody else, but some of the shit you see on there. I'm talking about when you really start going deep, when you're like running out of shit to look at and stuff just starts popping up. It looks like it's from Eastern Europe or Russia somewhere, and a lot of crazy crap on there. I don't know. I mean, I'm no legal brain trust, but some of it certainly looks like it's skirting on the edge there. At any rate, it's another exciting episode of Crash Course. Hey, what we've been doing here for the longest time now, right? We started over on radio, and I like to talk about this because I think it's cool. I mean, we were the first show, and this is no shit. This is true, especially here on Long Island. All right. I don't know about the rest of the state. I'd like to think probably the rest of the state, but especially here on Long Island, folks, Crash Course was the original show dedicated to the private body shop owners here on the island. All right. And more importantly, though, the show was organic and it just continues to evolve, which is cool, right? I think it really has become a great advocate for the consumer, for you and I. I continue to, disseminate useful stuff, right? Our mantra, if you've been listening, we're giving you information and knowledge you need and can use and advice you can trust. And it's, that I don't think that's any truer today than at any other time, right? Because there is a lot of information. I've spoken about this. I've joked about it over the episodes about the information highway. I call it the information byway. It's slippery slide. You get on that thing and woo, you're off to the races, man. You're on some ride on that slide, right? The information slide. And it is a slide because, the half the shit that's out there is, you can't even, you got to filter it. And even after you filter it, you're still scratching your head sometimes, right? Because now we got all this AI bullshit, right? Check it out, right? Now you got AI generated content and this chat GPT crap. I mean, you really go nuts. I mean, maybe the younger generations are laughing at me like, this guy's a fossil, blah, blah, blah. But seriously though, I mean, when you really sit down and you decide to be honest with yourself, there is just a lot of crazy shit out there. All right. And it's very, very difficult. I like to think I'm a very intelligent guy, very educated, but it's very difficult to filter this stuff. All right. And in our field here, when we talk about things related to collision and auto body and insurance industry, and legal things that are impacting those industries, it's not an easy road with that either. All right. And for example, everybody and their mother likes to pick up one of these things today, right? You pick up an iPhone, and all of a sudden you're an expert videographer, you're an expert content generator. Everybody's an expert today. It's amazing. We've got more experts today than probably ever before, and yet nobody knows shit. It's really quite an amazing conundrum. Everybody's an expert, but nobody knows anything. So, you get all the Instagram people generating these pages, especially in the industry that we're in here with the collision stuff and that. It cracks me up, right? Everybody's going to become a media conglomerate, a media expert. And, they get a guy or a girl with a phone and they're taking videos and they're posting stuff. And, some of the stuff gets gimmicky or comical and that's great, right? It's cool. I mean, it's fun to look at and you laugh. And some of it's educational, right? But, and here's the big but, okay? How much of it is sincere and how much of it is actually based in, I wouldn't say reality. I mean, some of it may not be, some of what I've seen isn't based in reality, that's for sure. But, a lot of it may not necessarily be based in, in a context that's, of a legal sense. What I mean by that, I don't mean like they're doing illegal shit. Don't anybody start jumping up and down. No, what I mean is, the information that you're gleaning from that may not, necessarily be accurate, right? Or, and this is a big or, okay, and this is why we say here at Crash Course, all right, we give you information, knowledge you need, but the most important thing is advice you can use and you can trust. Right? And that word trust is a big thing, especially today. All right, and you could trust because it's coming from me. And little old me is a little old nobody. I got nothing to gain here. All right. I got a lot to lose, but I got nothing to gain. So, when I say something or when I communicate things to my listeners and my followers out there, I know that I'm being sincere and being honest. And, and I'm also I'm basing it on knowledge that I have either through experience or through academic. Right. So I guess what I'm saying out there, folks, is that, when you're going down that old information highway or you're scrolling along and you're going into the wormhole and you're looking at all this crap on Instagram and maybe even YouTube, right? And some other these various social, I don't even know what the hell, they got all kinds of shit. Snapchat, Snapsheet, Snapback, I don't know, all kinds of nonsense. Telegraph, all kinds of stuff, right? Just remember that now, in addition to information that really may or may not be accurate, you also got to remember you got this artificial intelligence. I mean, it's scary shit. It's generating images of people that look like and sound like and act like, and they're not. They're fake. It's all fake. Okay, and that same type of thing can happen in the field that we're in here, which is insurance stuff and collision and auto body and everything else. All right. So you got to be careful, right? You're scrolling along, you see these guys on Instagram. Hey, how you doing, man? I'm Big Sal over here from Tricky Dick Auto Body, and I'm going to tell you, man, you come to me, I'm going to take care of everything, and this is what we do here, and blah, blah, blah. He may not even be, folks, think about it. This guy may not even be standing in front of his real shop. I mean, he can actually have a picture of God only knows what. It could probably look like the Taj Mahal. All right. And then you drive up and, holy shit, this guy looks like he's fixing cars in the 20th century. Right. So you got to be careful. You really do. You got to stick with us. Stick with Crash Course. That's what we're driving home here today. Right. Stick with the pros. Stick with the guy that's been with you all the way. That's set the bar high. And, we've been looking out for the folks. Okay, we've been looking out for the folks for a long time, right from the beginning, I would say. All right. And of course, we've been carrying the water for the independent body shops on Long Island. Sometimes I wonder, how much more water we can carry. Those guys are, that industry, folks, let me tell you, whew, not good. I mean, they couldn't get two matchbooks together. All right, they couldn't get two peas in a pod. It's just the most ridiculous industry I've ever been involved in. And again, I'm almost 11 years on the collision side. Forget about the insurance bullshit that I dealt with for almost 30 years. So that's why you want to stick with Crash Course. All right, we're looking out for the folks. Okay, I read things, I hear things, and then I translate that, and I when I paraphrase it, and I get it out to you, and hopefully that helps. Hopefully it helps you, your family, your friends. Maybe you pass it on to somebody, and it helps you out, right? Maybe it saves you some headache, it saves you some money, could save you money, all right? And it could certainly save you a lot of heartache, okay? which is what I've been preaching here for quite a while, right? And remember, I like to tell people too, and we all learned this, all right? At least my generation, we learned that information is power, right? Information, knowledge. Actually, it's not. That's another one of those cliches that they actually lie to you, all right? And I had a professor when I was doing my my master's in business management and finance. When I was doing that over at Dowling College, which is now basically a museum piece on the Connecticut River. But anyway, it was a good school. It was a really good school. They had small classes. It was taught by all guys and girls and women that were real. They weren't, just academics. These are people actually working. But at any rate, it was an organizational management course, and the woman was an insurance executive. And she actually told me this, which was interesting. It stuck, and she said, you hear this a lot, right? About having a lot of knowledge, being smart, having, information. It's actually not true at all, and she gave me the example. You could be the smartest guy in the room or girl, right? And you're sitting at your unit meeting or your organizational meeting or your team meeting, right? Everything's a team today, the team, right? You got your team meeting, your team huddle, whatever the hell they call it, wherever you are. And then you got the boss that's a putz, right? Guy's a jackass, right? But there you are, smarter than the jackass, right? In every way, not just because, you think you have all the answers, but, academically, professionally, in whatever field you're in. And she said to me, she goes, and think about it. She goes, it doesn't matter. And I looked at her, I'm like, well, what do you mean it doesn't matter? I've been told it does matter. That's why I'm sitting in this class 3 nights a week at 45 years old, trying to get this degree. And, and she laughed. She goes, well, that's true. She said, but the problem is that the knowledge and information you have won't become pertinent or won't become applicable, right? And I follow this, or won't become useful to the organization or to you until you're in a position where you can actually make people listen and affect change because of your position. And I said to myself, holy shit, it's so true. I mean, in my illustrious career in insurance, I can count on many fingers how many jackass bosses I got stuck working for. And these guys and women, they thought they were the smartest thing, right? Because somebody told them that they were good, that they got promoted, and you're the one, man. You're the one. Meanwhile, they were idiots. And I don't say that disparagingly. I say that because I worked for them and they weren't any more or less impressive than me, right? And again, what separates, what's the great equalizer there? Not that they necessarily were better than me, but they had access to information, information, ideas, and processes that I didn't. Just by virtue of their position over me, they had access to this, which indirectly, right, or maybe even in some circumstance directly, gave them authority and power over me, just by virtue of me not being able to understand or know the things that they did. Now, that doesn't mean they're better or smarter than you. Not at all. And this is what this woman was trying to impart to me. The problem is that they were in the position that they could use the access to that information, right, to manipulate things, manipulate people, change things, go to their organization, go to their management meetings, and influence opinion and processes and outcomes. I couldn't. Even though, I had almost a 4.0 GPA with my master's class, and I don't know what the jackass had, probably not close to that. But the point is, folks, all right, I'm going to bring this all back around full circle here. The takeaway here is information and knowledge is powerful, but it's only useful if you're in a position to apply it, right? And if you're clogging the wheel, if you're a foot soldier, and there's nothing wrong with that, I'm not saying there's anything demeaning by being the foot soldier or wanting to just be the foot soldier, right? My wife's been at a company for 29 years. They've asked her to move up or take a match. She doesn't want to. She's perfectly comfortable doing what she does. Right? Not everybody's cut out to do that. Not everybody gives a shit enough to want to do that. Right? But if you do, and you are smart, and you are ambitious, well, then you know what you got to do. You got to find a way to break down that first barrier. And that's what this woman told me. And it's stuck in the side of my head. I want to pass that along to all you guys out there. Hopefully that'll help you in your career or your future. Just remember that you have to make it a priority in whatever you're doing out there to get to that level, whatever that level is in your organization, in your business, in your company, whatever you're doing, you have to find out what or how to break through that first barrier. All right. And then you'll be able to figure out how to utilize your smarts and your knowledge and everything like that. Interesting, right? It's interesting. And to bring it full circle, that emphasizes why here at Crash Course, we focus on being sincere, being truthful, okay, and delivering information and knowledge that's applicable, that's factual, truthful, and useful to you. All right? And hopefully, like I said, hopefully that's something that you, your friends, your family can use. Maybe if it helps you someday down the road, either in your insurance experience, or if you're involved in God forbid in an accident and you have to deal with this stuff, you'll be able to say, hey, I remember I was listening to that guy on Crash Course and I remembered what he said about this or that or this or that, and it'll be great, right? And that's what we do. We're looking out for the folks here, and we're also supporting the independent body shops. All right. So I want to touch on something real quick here. This is interesting. So if you want to go back, I think I don't know, maybe last year sometime, we did an episode on EVs, right? Hybrids, EVs, electric vehicles. All right. It was all the buzz at the time, right? You had a different mindset out there. We'll just leave it at that. All right. There was a different agenda being pushed, and again, and this with this electric vehicle, EV shit and everything else is going to save the world, green the world, and all this other crap. And, this again is another example, okay, of what we talk about here, right? About misinterpreting, or I would say, listen, I would say with this shit, I would say demagoguing. All right. And demagoguing, you can go look it up. All right. It's a useful word these days for people that have ulterior motives. All right. I certainly think that with all this EV shit and this electronic crap and electrifying everything, and I think there was a lot of demagoguing with that. So we decided to take on the EV issue, and it was great because the YouTube channel lit up, man, like I don't know nothing. All right. Because it really struck a nerve, and my angle here at Crash Course, again, I'm very honest, right? I just got done saying that. We're honest, we're sincere. My angle was negative. And I had no problem saying that, and, I don't think the way that was being pursued, the way that was being jammed down everybody's throat, I don't think it was fair and equitable process or system. And lo and behold, now let me just show you, because, like I said, I will show you here. This is Fender Bender magazine. I remember I told you I read things that you never want to read. Okay. So this is one of the trade magazines in the industry. The consumers will never see this, never hear about it, never give a shit about it, which cracks me up because the guys that you see in here, like this gentleman on the front page here, I happen to know. He's a local business owner here with a body shop in Nassau County. And, and they all pump each other up in here. It's amazing. You got to read the articles. They all slap each other on the back. And this one went to this commission and that commission. And this one, went to this trade show and that trade. But the consumer never sees any of this. The customer, they don't give a shit about anything that's in here. Right? I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking at things with a little too critical of an eye or something. I know trade magazines are important. I don't want anybody out there, bashing me, saying this guy's a hump, this guy's a jackass, blah, blah, blah. I get it. Trade magazines, a lot of organizations have them, especially in the trades, right? It's important to communicate changes in policy and materials and procedures and training, education, blah, blah, blah. Great, terrific, wonderful. But the point is that a lot of things they talk about in these magazines are actually important issues that consumers would probably do well to know about, and you'll never know about it. Of course, you listen to me, you know about it. So, my friends, here we go. EVs. Well, turns out, it looks like that Crash Course is vindicated because I'm going to give you an example. So Honda, right? Everybody knows Honda, right? Honda just announced, all right, for the first time ever. I didn't know this about them. All right, most companies, I would think, have had struggles financially. Apparently, Honda never has, and they calculated that they lost $9 billion. Yeah, that's B with a billion. Now I know we throw around billion and trillion today like it's monopoly money, but that's a lot of money still today. So they lost $9 billion over the last some odd years due to tremendously slumping sales and demand. And guess what? The EVs, the electric vehicles. That's right. All of the fancy, like the Honda Fit and the Prius and all these wonderful cars that were going to save the world and save the ozone and save the lakes and the oceans. We're not going to encroach on all the land. All this, happy horse shit. Well, guess what, folks? Apparently nobody really gave it that much about it. Maybe gave a shit that much about it. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm not a mathematician. In fact, I sucked at math. So maybe I'm not really looking at this the right way, but $9 billion is a lot of money, even for Honda to absorb. And that's what they lost in the last 2 years. They just figured that out. They didn't even know. They took a look at shit this year and said, whoa, hold on. So guess what they're doing? They're throwing all this shit out. They're like, that's it, we're done. And how about Ford? Here's another one. Ford. You see that fancy EV Mustang? Ugliest thing I ever saw. Okay, what would possess somebody to buy that? I have no idea. Maybe it gets amazing mileage. I don't know. Okay? Thing's ugly. It's my opinion. Well, guess what? Ford lost their shirt on that. Yeah, that's right. In fact, they have over 55,000 of them sitting around Detroit in a lot that they can't even get rid of. They can't even give them away, literally. Okay? And Ford lost billions on that venture. Okay? Folks, nobody wants this shit. Now, here's the dirty secret, all right? And I spoke about this episodes back when I was on a roll with the EVs. Guess what? The common denominator is here too, all right? Now, all these wonderful people who were telling us that this was a great thing, get on board, going to save the planet. The planet's been here for 4 billion years, okay? At least, so 4.5 billion years. We ain't saving shit, okay? And the planet's going to be here for another 4 billion years. We may not be here. We'll probably be dead. But the planet will still be here. So all this shit about how we're going to save the planet, which doesn't need to be saved anyway, right? Because humans really can't destroy the planet. We couldn't destroy the Earth if we had to. I don't know why we'd want to, but if we had to, we couldn't destroy it, right? It's been here through asteroids, meteorites, volcanic explosions, continental drift and continental rift, earthquakes, tidal waves, volcanoes, every kind of damn disaster you can imagine, the dinosaurs, all right, and then us, we fuck shit up worse than all those other guys all put together, all right? So all this crap about how global warming, it's going to evaporate the oceans, the ice caps are going to melt, desalination, and the northern current's going to dry. It's all horseshit. It's all horseshit. And even if it did, even if it does, it's just going to kill us. It's not going to kill the world. We may not be here, but the Earth will still be here. Anyway, I digress. So on the EV front, though, because it was the big thing, right? Electric vehicle, got to get rid of the gas-powered engines, right? They're killing the ozone. They're killing everything. It's going to destroy the atmosphere. Well, it turns out that I just guess a lot of people really weren't that motivated by that. Because when they ended the subsidies, right? Remember I was talking about that a while back? How I thought that was a ripoff on people like me who go out and buy gas-powered cars and don't get any subsidies? Yeah, so it turns out that when the subsidies dried up and the tax write-offs dried up, because on top of the subsidies that the federal government was giving the car companies, because the car companies didn't want to make this shit, but the government said, well, what happens if I throw a bunch of money at you? All right, we'll produce these things. Turns out that on top of that, the people were getting these massive tax write-offs. Well, those dried up too. So the tax write-offs go away, the subsidies dry up, and guess what? The EV market is collapsing. So, I don't know. I'm just saying. I know a lot of people had some very strong opinions when I did that episode about EVs and how I personally thought the whole thing was, basically a straw issue to begin with. And I don't know. I feel like I might be vindicated a little bit here because apparently these things are collapsing on all levels now. Okay? And again, listen, if you honestly, truly like the car, now I work at V&J Auto Body, all right, and we are one of the most, if not the most certified shop on Long Island, and we fix a ton of these cars. Right? We got Rivian, we got Tesla, Stellantis, Pulsar. We've had some of those wonderful cars. So I've seen them all, folks. All right, I will say this: the Rivian is a sharp car. It's a sharp truck. I think they only make an SUV and a pickup truck. If you like that kind of thing and you got that kind of money, because they ain't cheap, you might want to look into that. That I will say is a well-made vehicle. Not too crazy about the pickup, but that SUV, that thing is built like a tank. So I will give them that. I don't know beyond that. I don't know anything about the damn thing. I don't want to. I don't know if it goes far. It doesn't go far. I don't know if the battery's going to burn out. I have no idea. But they're actually, character-wise, they got good character. I think they're attractive for an EV. They look good. So the takeaway here is, hey, if you truly, and I said this in the last episode, if you could look at yourself and be honest and say, I love electric vehicles. I like the way they sound. Oh, wait a minute. They don't sound. That's right. There's no noise when you get in these things. I like the way they look. Ooh. Other than the Rivian, most of them look like you're driving a George Jetson mobile or something around. If you don't know what George Jetson's in, look up the Jetsons from the 70s, late 60s. All right, it was some kind of like space age family, and they were jetting around, hence George Jetson and the Jetsons. Anyway, yeah. But, even after all that, and the paint schemes too, the paint schemes, not too exciting either. But again, if all that still turns you on, then knock yourself out, man. Go buy one. Go buy one and drive it. Because the beautiful thing about free enterprise and capitalism is people choose to spend their money on what and where they want to. On the other hand, with this other crowd, they were trying to make us spend our money on shit that obviously, and this is just me, I don't know, again, I'm not a math whiz here or anything, but certainly looks like billion-dollar losses translates into me. I mean, I'm a dummy here with math, but sounds like to me when we're talking billions of dollars going out the window that these companies lost, sounds to me like people were being coerced to buy these things, okay? Nobody really did give a shit, okay? Weren't too concerned about green energy or, or the atmosphere or, I don't know, the earth warming up and blowing up. I think people were more concerned about getting into a new car that the government was subsidizing and they could write off on their taxes. And what a crock of shit that was, right? So the guy that wants to buy the run-of-the-mill car, he gets socked with a $50,000 bill and no alternative on the other end. But the EV guy gets a subsidized car and a tax write-off. Bullshit. That's what I say to that. So anyway, EVs, not good. Okay? But again, if that's your thing, go buy one and have a great time. Knock yourself out. They don't do anything for me, and I got to look at them every day. And folks, come on, man. These batteries, come on. What are we doing here? Lithium ion? The same folks that are telling us to save the world are polluting it with shit that's on the level of plutonium. I mean, you can't make this up. Everybody drive a green car. Bah, bah, bah. It's going to be great. Electric. Blah, blah, blah. Plug it in. The batteries blow up, or they end up in these various areas where they end up in the junkyard, a recycle yard, a salvage yard if the insurance company grabbed them. I don't know, right? We're going to put them all on a SpaceX spaceship and shoot them into the sun? I don't know. Who's going to pay for that? Not Elon Musk. Not unless you pay him. It's just funny. It's really, I find it all comical. I know a lot of people out there probably look at me and say, this guy's a fossil, man. This guy's a dinosaur. I don't know. Maybe I am, but I'm a smart dinosaur. I think, because at the end of the day, and we're gonna end it up here. At the end of the day, all right. And it's funny how this, I didn't even plan it like this. It's just organic. It's ending up like this. But when you think about it, this really ties into what I said in the beginning of the show, which you have a lot of, hyperbole and bullshit and demagoguing and everything else out there. And it gets mass produced and mass media the hell out there across every social media thing. Everybody picks it up. Nobody looks beyond what the narrative is, and they just run with it, right? And I think EV, the electric vehicle thing, conundrum, is a prime example of that, right? Electric vehicles are going to save the world. From what? What are we saving the world from? Us? I don't know. I mean, maybe. You're not saving the world per se, because like I said, the world's going to be here. We won't be here. We're going to be dead. But the world's going to be here. And the electric cars and all this other shit ain't going to help. So the moral of the story is, if you like them, buy them. If you don't, congratulations. Welcome back. And I think they revamped the tax law anyway. I think they said if you buy an American car, like finance it, you can write off the interest or some shit. I don't know. I think I heard something about that. So if I think that's the case, great. Right? And I know everybody out there who, is on the other side of this issue is probably like, that's bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Hey, whoa, bullshit. You guys were riding free here for years. So now we're just trying to incentivize, this is an incentive, I think, to try and get people to buy American cars, probably more than the write-off itself. I think it's an incentive to buy American cars. So, all right. Hey, folks, stay tuned, because there's a lot of, if you live in New York State, all right, and I like to think this is mostly, who we talk to, who we reach here. If you're living in New York State, though, Kathy Hochul and her infinite wisdom, they just passed a whole shitload of laws up there, changed a lot of important stuff that does impact us, consumer, all right, on the insurance side. And I'm gonna have all that for you in the next episode, all right? And I'm serious. It's some pretty serious stuff. They just rolled out a whole bunch of shit up there. This is she's on some kind of crusade about how she's going to, curb fraud and everything. And it's just, these people never cease. They never stop coming up with more emotionally driven crap that, ends up doing nothing for you and me, but sounds good and looks good, and they can run with it on a political ad or some bullshit like that. So we're going to drill down into that on the next episode. Otherwise, hey, man, listen, keep it frosty out there. Stay tuned. Keep following us. Really appreciate the support. All right. And, of course, go to the YouTube channel. Check us out over there. And, of course, we're on Instagram and Facebook. All right. So go dabble around over there if that's your thing. And, hey, we'll see you on the next episode.